Hello, everybody. Alongside Kings Island expert Ryan Sir, I'm Don Helbig, and this is Tower Topics.
Tower Topics is a podcast for Kings Island fans by Kings Island fans, because that's who we are and that's who we care about.
All right, Ryan, on this episode of Tower Topics, let's talk about a place where all the Kings Island fans should be on social media. And if you're a Kings Island pass holder, you want to be joining the Kings Island Facebook group. So joining us tonight is the individual who created the Facebook group, Chris Hughes. Chris, how you doing?
Hey guys, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, thanks for being on. It's a long time coming. So can you tell us about your journey with the Passholder group? Like, how did you start from just being an everyday enthusiast to deciding to create this Facebook group? I mean, what inspired it?
Yeah, so I worked at the park back in 2009 and 10, and my cat wants to join in. Uh, but um, there's always been a various places for folks to get information, and one of my friends that used to work at the park in the call center. Back when I worked there as well, always said that she wished that there was something available that kind of was more of a resource outside of the website, so folks could have the answers to the basic questions without really having to call in. And I had thought about it, and I was like, you know what, why not create a place online to be able to do that? And just started Kings Island season pass holders.
Now, Chris, when you started this, what were like your initial goals when you started the group? Did you ever imagine that it would grow to the level it is today? I think you got over what 65,000 members.
Yeah, we just hit 65,000 members this past week. But when I started it, I just kind of wanted it to be one of those places where people could come in, get some information, share pictures, videos, whatnot. And truthfully, I didn't think I'd get over 600 folks. And within, I think we're now 8 years in, and that just skyrocketed.
8 years. That's hard to believe. It feels like it's been about a year. Like, isn't it funny how fast it goes?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you said 60,000 members, which is very impressive. Uh, so, like, to what do you attribute that success? I mean, 60,000, it takes a community to build it, but from your
Yeah.
perspective, what really put it over the edge of success?
Well, I think having my team of admins and mods has really helped. While this is not definitely not my full time job, it's been great having those folks help me run the page. Um, and we set forth these rules that kind of give guidelines of how to post, what to post, what not to post, and we've always tried to remain a positive place and operate with mutual respect. And I think that's really pushed us towards that 65,000 member.
Yeah. Make a paid prescription, $1 a year, you get 60,000. All right. So how do you think that the users, like the 65,000 strong, have benefited from the pass holder group?
Yeah. So there's definitely been a lot of camaraderie from the group, with folks recognizing regulars who are there all the time. But it's really the go-to for information outside of the website for Kings Island. There are on my technical staff. There are former employees, regulars who are there all the time that are constantly looking for ways to share information. And it's always the most up to date, I think, based on what my admins and mons see in the park, but also online as well.
Hmm.
Like this, obviously, it's challenging. So, what strategies and tactics do you have in place to keep the group, engaged, but also remaining positive for the most part?
Yeah. So, I mean, really, it's just the whole idea of mutual respect. there have been challenges with folks who just want to come in and, spout off, to anybody, being as rude as possible. And nobody wants to be a part of a Facebook group like that except for those people. So I've really hammered in the idea of mutual respect to everybody, whether it's, my admin staff talking to the users talking to each other, back and forth, back and forth. Um, but yeah, just really just trying to be respectful to everybody.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it's a pretty relatively I mean, the internet has got a certain bar of toxicity, but it seems like
Yeah.
it's pretty clean. So you guys do a pretty good job. Um, can you think of any like memorable or like heartwarming stories from people that you've encountered from the Facebook group or things you've seen on the Facebook group? I mean, I can think of a lot right now, but what's something that stuck out to you?
I guess probably the one of the instances where I was at Cedar Point this summer seeing a show. Um, I sat in the front row of the show called "Come See About Me," and afterwards, this lady comes up to me and she goes, "Hey, I've got a question." And I said, "Yeah," like thinking she's gonna ask me something about the show or Cedar Point. She goes, "Are you the Chris Hughes from Kings Island season pass holders?" Yeah, I was like, "Obviously you remember." And she goes, "Yeah, I've been on the group since it started, and I never got a chance to meet you. I just wanted to say hi." Like, I just thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I get that a lot. Are you the guy whose pictures on Don Helbig's podcasts?
Let's be clear, it's not my podcast. But anyway, Christian, we kind of touched on a little bit, when you have these online communities, social media, it's a cauldron of negativity. Let's just call it what it is there. But how do you handle the conflicts or disagreements within the pass holder group? Do you let it go to a certain point and say, okay, you've made your point, just stop? Or, two people are going back and forth. Where do you draw that line to try to, you know, right the ship?
Yeah, so a lot of the times we will let it go to a point. Now, if they're dropping the F bombs or they are just being downright disrespectful in personal attacks, things like that, those are an automatic, you're gone kind of thing. But we will let folks have a healthy conversation. There are times where my team, they will be like, "Hey, what do you think about this? Should we keep it? Should we let it go?" And most of the time, it's just let it go. Not that big of a deal. But there have been things where Facebook even says, "Hey, somebody shared this, and we had to remove it." And typically, when that happens, we just remove the person, just because Facebook, as you may know, will automatically just get rid of your page. So,
Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, so a lot of you know, groups, whether it's like the fan sites, the Facebook groups and stuff, and all the iterations that exist now, they have meetups and stuff. You ever tried that? And if you did, how'd it go?
yeah. So when we first started, we did a few meetups in the park. I know we did a meetup at the Firehawk entrance at the very end, just kind of getting a last picture with the sign and all that. For Winterfest, I've done a couple meetups where we had a meal up at the International Restaurant. And those all went well, um, but it is very hard to kind of gather many folks at this point due to scheduling and park scheduling as well. Like if we wanted to do another meal kind of thing, so it's something that I'm hoping to do again here soon, but I'm not positive when we're actually going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Now, Chris, as you look to the future, you've obviously, exceeded the expectations that you had when you started this page. But, what are your plans, your aspirations for this group? How do you see it evolving?
Yeah, so I definitely want to see more involvement with the park, working with them to do meetups, even like little giveaway kind of things, having the park reach out to us and provide information down the line, whether it's, hey, this is happening with Camp Snoopy coming up, things like that. But I also want to see continued growth. I think that's just something that's really cool. Even if, we hit such a number that's beyond belief, I think that would be cool.
Chris, you mentioned about, letting the group know when there's things happening and everything, the way it's evolved. I would think for me, I would look to the Passholder group as one of the first places to put something out there because that's where the audience is. Those are the people you want to reach. They have passes, they can plan a visit, those kind of things, opposed to going after, some of these other places where, maybe 1,500 people are going to see it or something. So, I would certainly be leveraging it. And, I mean, your group, by the time the park opens in the spring, you could be almost up to 100,000 people by then.
Oh, absolutely. And we've when there have been things that have been shared with us and we get it out there before even WLWT and outlets like that, we get it out on Facebook and it's getting hundreds and hundreds of shares, thousands of comments back and forth. So it would be a really good thing for the park to be able to do.
Yeah, well, that's where the value is. I mean, the service number is 65,000, but you talk about all those shares from the members and then their friends commenting on everything else, so that 65,000 becomes pretty close to 500,000 real quick.
Yeah, what I was thinking was, if they, let's say, something that wouldn't garner like an insane amount of attention. Let's say they put in a new like thrill flat ride. Let's say like a delirium class ride, and they gave you the press release or gave you the information or however they would communicate it to you. If you put it on there, by the time WLWT or any of the legacy media had it out, you would probably have more eyeballs on it than they will for their whole run of the initial announcement. Um, but anyway, so back to the matter at hand. So as the leader, let's say the founder of the Facebook group, besides run and don't look back, what advice would you have for anybody looking to create a similar group for their particular interest?
Definitely run, but don't look back. But no, I would have to go with just go with your gut. And when you create a group like this, and as you get more and more folks that are joining, you're always going to get folks who complain my post was removed, or why can't I post this kind of thing. And it's one of those things that I had learned that you're not obligated to answer. And the folks like on my team and myself, we don't get paid for doing this. It would be very nice if we got paid for doing it, but we don't. So leveraging not only your time, but your value as a human being, definitely something that I would suggest doing, and just trying to remain positive and operate with mutual respect, really.
Yeah.
Now, Chris, you mentioned, nobody gets paid. You don't get paid. Your moderators don't get paid. So you and your team, where would you say the reward is for managing a large Facebook group like this?
Really, it's just being able to satisfy the needs of questions that come out, letting folks, ask questions, share their awesome experiences at the park. Um, and yeah, just really just being there with other folks.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Chris, the most important question, at least to you, although this is probably going to reach the same audience you already have. Somebody wants to join the Kings Island season pass faceholder group. How do they do that?
Yeah, just in the search bar on Facebook, go to or type in Kings Island Season Pass Holders. We are that group that has 65,000 folks. There are a few like copycats, I guess you could say, and there the various other ones as well. But go in there, join. We do have 3 questions to ask, as well as a an agreement to the rules. You click that, and we just go through, make sure that you answered the 3 questions and accepted the rules, and then you're in.
Cool.
Well, Chris, I think you guys do a great job there. It's, a lot of good questions get asked. You've got that team that can answer those questions. It is the place to go if you have questions about Kings Island.
Absolutely. It's been a great 8 years, and I'm looking forward to the next few.
Mm-hmm. All right. So Don, what's next?
Well, moving on to this week's Tower Topics question from one of our listeners. It comes from Donnie Lakes, and he said, if Cedar Fair were to sell off some of the parks to other companies, who would you like to see claim KI? He lists Universal, SeaWorld, Parks and Entertainment, Hirsch and Family Entertainment, Mansion Entertainment Group, or Six Flags. Ryan, who would you like to see acquired if Kings Island were to become available?
I mean, obviously of those, Universal, but I would say realistically, the one that would synergize with the type of park that Kings Island is that could probably bump it up a level would be either SeaWorld or Herschend. Now, SeaWorld has, they could probably do better with the theming and the immersive experiences and so on, while Herschend will bring kind of that southern comfort, uh, the total like love of the guest and stuff like that that you see at places like Dollywood and Silver Dollar City. Chris, if one of these companies bought Kings Island, which one would you want it to be?
I probably would have to go with Herschend as well. I'm a big fan of Dollywood. I love what they have done there, as well as Silver Dollar City, and we could get an RMC based on Silver Dollar City's most recent edition.
Yeah, that's true. Don?
The Hirsch and Family Entertainment. I've not done or visited any of their properties, whether it's amusement park or some of the other things that you see out there. That it hasn't been first class, well done, great associates and everything. So for me, that would be the number one, just because of my experience going to some of these other properties.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. Well, Chris, thank you so much for being on the show. Long time coming. So again, you can find Chris's Kings Island Season Pass Holder group by going onto Facebook and typing in Kings Island Season Pass Holders. It's the one with the 65,000, hopefully more by the time you listen to this, members. So don't fall for the copycats. All right. I'm Ryan Sir, along with Don Helbig, with special guest Chris Hughes, and this is Tower Topics.